Hello and welcome to Unclogged, the Zoom Drain podcast. Today I'm joined by Trevor Rappleye, founder of Franchise Filming. Trevor helps franchise brands grow through powerful, story-driven video content, but his journey started long before that, converting VHS tapes to DVDs in his parents' kitchen at just 13 years old, and later filming over 300 weddings before focusing on the franchise space. Today he works with both emerging and established brands to capture authentic franchise stories that build trust, support development, and drive real growth. In this episode, we dive into branding, storytelling, and what it really takes to connect with your audience in a meaningful way. We also get into best practices for content, social media, and how the right message can help business owners stand out and increase revenue. Let's get flowing. Let's start with franchise filming. Tell me, big picture, what is franchise filming? What do you guys do? Who's on your team? How are you set up?
Franchise filming began from a true need in this space, right? And the need is authentic storytelling, like true authentic storytelling. And in a world of AI and fake content and stock footage and everything, the best thing franchise filming does is help franchise brands grow through the use of authentic stories that make people feel something. Adweek says that we as humans see 10,000 ads a day. We just don't know it. And the best way to cut through the noise is tell stories. And that's the best thing that we do. We've worked with over 100 franchise brands. And since inception, Patrick, we have never broken the rule and used stock footage or AI content in any of our stuff. We love AI, but not for the storytelling.
Well, you said the key word that I want to talk to you about, storytelling. And I think that's a phrase that's getting thrown around a lot today. I'm seeing it even in more and more job titles. What does it mean? Like, what does storytelling actually mean? How is that different than just marketing or branding or video production? Like, to you, what is it?
Story to me, it's so much more than what you see. The story is what your brand can make, what our brand can make that makes someone feel something. Like truly stop their day, turn off TikTok and stop scrolling and say, oh, and just you have their attention, right? Patrick, as marketers, we both know if you don't have someone's attention, you're never going to get a sale. And story is grabbing someone's attention that makes them feel something, because nobody goes to bed, Patrick, thinking about me, thinking about you, unless you have done something to them that made them feel something. And that is what storytelling is.
I think storytelling humanizes a brand, but I think it also serves as an opportunity to connect those brands to the people those brands serve. It really is the gateway, or else you're just a logo, or you're just more noise. And it's so critical to evoke emotion, and that's something that's been top of mind for my team lately. And for me, it's always right, but we've been talking about a lot, even just the last couple of days, as we look to make some additional changes to how we present the Zoom Drain brand. And I use that phrase, evoke emotion, a lot. And I think when people hear that, they think you have to evoke something deep and powerful. But the truth is, there are a lot of emotions out there, and for us, evoking emotion, I think, is relating to customers who are going through very stressful situations. When you have a backed up drain, it's not just the problem at hand. It's that's the cause of a lot of other stressors. Your toilet's backed up and you have a house full of kids and you have to get them out the door to go to school and you have to get to work. Your husband has to get to work. Your wife has to get to work. Now somebody has to make that call. Now you have 5 people down to 1 bathroom instead of 2. Somebody has to stay home and wait for the service provider to show up. It's another expense, right? It's chaos. There could be a backup. So now you have a physical stressor there too, adding to the literal mess. So for us, it's how do I pull that out where people can feel that pain and they can relate to it and then put their mind at ease? How do we deliver peace of mind? And we do it a lot of different ways through the service we provide and how we go about it. There are a lot of small things Zoom Drain does differently. For me, the story is connecting with them in their time of
Mm-hmm.
need. Everybody's been there, whether you're a homeowner or a business, and then showing them, not telling them, but I think it's showing them how we can just we can make everything better. That's why, we changed our tagline to get your life flowing today. It's all about the
Yeah.
customer getting back to normalcy. And to
Yeah.
me, it's not just one ad. When we talk about storytelling, it's not just one video. It really is a chorus of efforts. It should be every interaction a customer has with the brand, whether it's a billboard they see on the highway, it's an ad they see on TV or online, it's the website messaging, it's the user experience on the website, it's that first interaction somebody has when they call. How did your call center handle that person's need? It's the technician, it's the follow up. All of that comes together to tell, or it should, one cohesive story.
And that story is the most important thing that franchise brands can be telling, right? And what I love about you and the work we did with you guys is you guys understood that we can't just tell the story, we have to show the story, right? And that involves making sure we schedule, get B-roll, get the scene, get everything that other franchisors have kind of cut corners on. What I love about you guys is that you made sure we captured everything, right? And for anyone listening that is thinking about making videos and things like that, you got to make sure you don't just tell, but you show people. They have to visually see it. It's like if you watched a movie and all the main actor did was just talk to you,
Yep.
and you never saw him or her go through pain, go through struggle, overcome something. It wouldn't hit the same way. In fact, you'd probably leave the movie theater early. And that's what your leads, my leads, all these franchise brands leads are doing if they aren't evoking the story that someone needs to stay connected.
Well, you talked about AI, right? And the need to have authentic content.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes back before AI. If you think about put the television on during the day. Luckily, I'm not home during the day. I don't have to deal with any daytime TV. But thinking back to when I wasn't a full time employee and all the garbage commercials that are running all day long, and how many of them have testimonials. And
Mm-hmm.
when they're paid actors, when it's not a legitimate customer, it wasn't an authentic experience that's being shared. It was somebody from an ad agency or a marketing team who wrote up that
Mm-hmm.
script. And what I loved working about your team was you did give us the opportunity to connect with actual customers who went through that time of pain, that time of stress. And, you helped us coordinate all that. And that's the toughest part sometimes is, you know, identifying who are we going to talk to, getting on their
Mm-hmm.
calendar, figuring out how we're going to get the production team there, where are we going to shoot. And your team handled all the logistics, which that alone I think was a blessing and worth its weight in gold. But then for me to be there side by side with your team and talk to our customers and have them tell their story, and we
Yes.
get a feel for their business or for the home that they're running. And then like tell me about the issue you experienced. Like when did that panic set in? When did the stress hit? What was going through your mind? And for us talking to, it was a gentleman who owned a coffee shop was one example. And I think anybody who owns a business, who owns a bar or a restaurant or a coffee shop or a deli, they can relate to that instantly. And you see kind of the hustle and bustle behind him. It was filmed during the middle of the day
Yeah.
with
Yep.
his real customers. He could feel his pain and his stress, and then how all that went away, through the great experience he had with our team. And um, you can't replicate that with a paid actor. It just doesn't come through the same way.
Yeah, it doesn't come through the same way. And I laugh, especially during daytime TV. It's funny that you mentioned that. I always see like in the lower right, I always pause it and I'm like, where's the text on the screen?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yep.
not a real customer, paid actor, or it's compensated for their time. It's like a
Yep.
true customer would want to spend a half hour talking about the brand that really helped them, right? Like it's we're in this world right now, Patrick, where AI and fake content, like the world is going to run to it. Consumers are going to be okay with it for a little bit. And then people are going to say, what the heck is real anymore? And in fact, I actually think the franchise space, the government may actually eventually come in and say, Fran dev teams, you can't ever use generated content to try to sell your opportunity, because that's not trustworthy. Like that is where everyone's going to run to it, and people are going to give it about 12-18 months. People are going to say, oh my god, I want real again. Like I want to see real customers, real family, real brand. It is, someone just asked me last week, are you scared of AI? I'm not scared of AI because people will always want storytelling,
Mhm.
and we love AI. We're getting faster with it. We're making more cuts. We're scheduling faster. In fact, we meet once a week for an hour and talk about how we can get really efficient with AI. But
Yeah.
we're not going to break away from our value of it's got to be a story.
It's a tool. It's not a replacement. It's
Yeah.
not human, and storytelling is built on human elements.
It,
AI is not going to evoke the same emotion. It needs to be real. And going back to your point that you think in 12 to 18 months, people are going to start running back, and desire real. I think we're already there,
mm,
especially on social media where nobody's writing their own copy anymore. And I just had a
mm-hmm,
talk with my team yesterday. It's like, listen, like we use it. We write the copy and we'll run it through and make sure it's polished and it's condensed and we're writing as efficiently as possible. And even that, like I kind of want to go back and just use it as a spell checker. Like it's soulless, and I think even the
yeah.
best copy feels human. And to me, the
Mm-hmm,
best brands in the world feel like your next door neighbor that you grew up
mm-hmm,
with. And you could describe the best brands in the world as if they were human beings. You would use human characteristics to describe them. And if you can't describe a brand and a brand's voice that way, then the brand doesn't have a voice and it doesn't have a soul, and then you're not going to connect with real people. And again, I'm seeing it on
mm,
social media all the time. I'm a big sports fan. Anybody who follows me on LinkedIn knows I am a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan. Go Birds. And I follow all different pages, Trevor. And I can
mm-hmm,
see now, because I use AI, it's the same format. And I'm instantly turned off. As soon as I start reading it, I know that somebody didn't write this. It's coming from a machine. And now I'm seeing more and more, when I say fake content, I mean inaccurate.
mm-hmm,
Inaccurate. Names and dates are wrong, or it's something from 2 years ago, or it's going to talk about, it'll be talking about Trevor, but it'll have an AI generated picture of me. It's like, well, that's not
mm-hmm.
Trevor. So, like, I don't know about you. I'm already over it, and I think people are catching on. So you're in good shape. I wouldn't sweat it either way. I think people are going to always want the real thing.
Franchising is such a unique space, right? It's how do we teeter, Patrick, as leaders, as brand advocates, as franchisees, as customers, like how do we teeter, like where's the line with that, right? And people are figuring out kind of what that line is, right? I actually try and write a lot of my own posts, and yesterday I actually wrote a post and I was like from start to finish, like, oh, this is gonna be the best post ever. I'm writing it, and I hit post. I'm like, oh, that's a that's a that's a good one. And about an hour went by, and my college buddies shot me a text. They're like, dude, your LinkedIn post has so many typos on it. I'm like, what? I look back and I'm like, I should have had AI triple check my spelling. I wrote it, but I didn't, it's there to help us. It's not there to do it from start to
Yeah,
finish, right?
yeah,
There were a lot
yeah.
of typos. I don't know how I don't know how I did that. I was so passionately typing, right? Uh,
Some people do that on
Yeah,
purpose now. Some people will use AI and then they'll put a couple typos in so people think it's the real deal to try to
I've heard that
humanize
too.
it, which
Yeah,
is even worse at that point.
yeah.
But no, and look, when you go to my personal page, it's all coming from me, and I use it literally. I'll run it through just for that, or if there's like a one phrase, like this just isn't as smooth as it should be, but it's all real and it's coming from me, and it's a great tool if it's used as a tool, but you cannot replace it. And I think most people know that. I see that probably once a day in my feed, somebody talking about AI as a tool, not as a replacement for your
Mhm.
brain. Um, but hey, I want to go back since you gave us an overview of franchise filming and kind of what
Yeah.
you do. What's your personal background, and how did you first kind of discover and embrace the franchise world? Because it is a very unique niche um, that you found. So, like, tell me, what is your journey?
Yeah. I wish I had a photo in here. It might be out. It might be out there. But yeah, so my first business, Patrick, was I was 13. I loved taking my dad's camera and feeling the weight of it and putting it on my shoulder. It would kind of like weigh me down, and like I would just film like my family ping pong matches or film my mom like you know not arguing, but just the family moments, right? You're just like filming
Yeah,
stuff, and my mom's like,
yeah.
stop filming. And at a young age, Patrick, I started editing that. I don't even know how I edited it back in the day. I don't know what software it was. And I would edit it into like a weekly Rappley recap. And I would print out a flyer that was like, Tuesday, we're gonna. And my mom is like, what are you doing? Like, that's cool, but like, we're gonna tune in and watch what we already did. And anyways, I fell in love with that at a young age. And in fact, around that age, Patrick, VHS was going away and DVD was coming in, right?
Okay.
And every neighbor would always complain how they couldn't watch their VHSs anymore. And I was like, I wonder if I could solve that. And we had a DVD VHS converter, and I just went to Kinko's one day, printed out 1,000 flyers, opened up people's mailboxes. Didn't know that was illegal, but that's you can't do that. And I'll just wave at neighbors like, "Hey!" They're like, "What?" And just this kid opened up people's mailboxes, walking down the street, and I started a business. It was DVDs to remember.net. And Patrick, I thought my phone would ring off the hook. I would tell my mom, like, don't pick up the landline. Like we're gonna they like might call. Do you know how much money I made, Patrick, on my very first business venture? You take a guess.
Oh, I don't know. How much did you pay for the machine?
Uh, I don't remember. It was a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing you didn't make very much, and I'm assuming you were actually ahead of the demand. People probably didn't even realize that the VHS was going to be obsolete.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I thought I would make so much money, and I ended up making like $72, and it was from my aunt, who like my mom asked to like, hey, can you just like help my son out? And it was and it was such a great business lesson because two things happened, Patrick. I learned I loved business. And the second thing I learned was sometimes you can work really hard at something and that doesn't work out, but you found your fire, like that you want to do. And that's what I
Yeah.
learned at such a young age. I was like, okay, I don't know about this business thing, but this sounds so much fun. So I say all that because I started filming at a very young age. I've filmed over 300 weddings in my lifetime, fell in love with the story, the emotion of it all. And you asked me how I got into the franchise space. Um, we used to pay for the word videographer, I think, on Google. Back then, it was like $8 a click. Now it's a lot more. And I got a call in 2018, and this guy calls me and goes, "Hey, do you do franchise development videos?" I go, "I don't know what that is." And he's like, "Oh, I'm a franchisor." And I go, I don't know what that is, but we make really damn good videos. It's gonna be the best video you will ever see. And he goes, how much do you cost? And at the time I was like $3,000. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, that's out of our budget. I go, okay, hang up, forget about it. He calls me an hour back. He goes, okay, I liked your honesty. I can make the budget work. And we went and made a video, Patrick. It was the brand video. We told the story of the franchise, the franchisor, the franchisees. And at the end of that whole thing, he watched the video and he goes, that's the best damn video I've ever seen in my entire life. Have you heard of the IFA? And the rest is history.
Wow.
So,
Good for you. That's amazing.
yeah.
That's amazing. And I know you're very active with the IFA. You're very active, period. You're everywhere. I know you have events that you host, events that you run.
Mhm.
You're bopping
Mhm.
around the country almost
That's great.
constantly.
Bopping around.
Right?
That should be on a shirt. Trevor bops around the US.
Bopping
Yeah.
around. And you do, of course, I mean, you're a videographer, right? So you do a great job of documenting it and getting it out there. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the impact of that face-to-face networking because,
Yeah.
for our franchisees, and I think for everybody, during COVID, and I hate that I even have to bring this up still, it's 2026, but COVID obviously made an impact on the world and on business and how we socialize with each other personally and professionally. And I think people became very dependent upon digital and digital ads. And for us in home services, more people were spending more time at home and more things were going wrong. Or people, if they were in a financial position, they're looking around their house like, you know what, we could use some upgrades. We're going to be here for a while. And I
Hmm.
think the work kind of just took off and people, they couldn't go out and meet a contractor or bump into somebody at a professional networking event or at a community day. So they trusted what they saw on social media and they trusted what they saw on Google Ads and they made decisions that way. And we were kind of forced into being so siloed. And once the
Hmm.
world opened back up, I think people were yearning for it. And some people jumped right back into kind of the swing of things. But I think a lot of people maybe didn't mind not having to go out and put in the extra
Mm.
legwork. So we're always trying to stress the importance of getting out into the communities that you serve and building relationships with other small business owners who have a like-minded approach to customer service, who have parallel services, who have a similar customer base, and really build that referral partnership and that network. But it takes trust, and trust isn't given, it's earned, and it takes time. And I think those face-to-face interactions are a critical piece of building any small business today.
Yeah.
And I think you're living proof of that and the impact that face-to-face networking can have on growing a brand and growing a successful business. So talk about your strategy and what you've seen over the years.
Yeah. I'm really passionate about this. And Patrick, this actually happened. I learned this at a younger age during my first business. I had a business partner, and for about 2-ish years, and he wanted his social media to be separate from work. Totally his right. Great. Mine was all about work. I was posting, I was filming weddings. I was filming every weekend. I would take a selfie of me in my hat. I would take a selfie with a bride. I would post a screenshot of a Yelp review. Because in my mind, no one's going to buy from me if they don't know that I exist.
Yeah.
And our best thing we could do as marketers and business owners and people listening is tap into the people that know you first. But they're never going to buy from you unless they know that you're doing this thing. And most people are afraid to do that because I think deep down they're like, what if I fail? Now everyone knows that I did this thing that didn't work out. But you're actually at a higher risk of failure if you don't do the thing with posting and letting the world get known. So I say all that because
Yeah.
as business owners, franchisees, like marketers, we have to mold the two. Because if you want to make money and be successful, you have to mold the two. In fact, it's personal branding. Like it's the thing that has to happen, right? So I can point to you almost 80% of our deals the past 6 years have because I have met them at a show. I went and got coffee with them. When I was in their city, I happened to drive by the office. Like, I'm not sure about your inbox, Patrick, but each of us probably get 250 messages a day on
Yeah.
email, probably, right?
Yep. Yep.
My phone, that's not a spam call, rings maybe once a day with someone that I know. And on top of that, someone just dropped by the office. And it was so crazy. I walk in and he's in my office. I'm like, oh, I left the door unlocked. Hello, I'm Trevor. I'm the CEO of Franchise Film. And he goes, hey, I was waiting for someone. I do catering. And I gave him a high five. I'm like, props to you for just doing a drop by. Like, I haven't seen this in a long time. And
Yeah.
now, whenever I need catering, I absolutely will use that guy because he took the time to came in and stop by. So those face-to-face things, Patrick, are so important. Like, in fact, there was a wake-up moment, Patrick, where I'm like, my business hit a stall in like 2021, and I'm like, God, what's going on? But it was when COVID started to fade away, and I told myself, I need to get out in front of people more. But I took that a step further, and I said, how can I track this measurable impact? So I had a metric that I would meet someone in person twice a week. It was Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 a.m. And I can't tell you how much business I won because those were the times that I made sure I was out in the world, getting coffee, getting to know people. So if you want to be successful at a business or as a salesperson, as a marketer, as an entrepreneur, you the call is yours. But if you want to be uber successful, you need to do face-to-face stuff and get out there. Like the call is yours. If you don't want to be successful, then great, that's on you. But if you want to be successful, you got to get out there.
Well, it's interesting because earlier we talked about breaking through the noise and
Mm-hmm.
humanizing a brand, and that's how brands connect with people. You know what is storytelling, and it's a chorus of touches and experiences and voices, and that face to face is no different. I mean, you mentioned the inbox. Like my inbox is a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like anybody who sells any service or platform or product related to home services and related to franchising, they're trying to sell me something. I mean, it's just filled with those types of emails. Why would I pay attention to any of them? And who am I
Mm-hmm.
actually going to pay attention to? I'm going to pay attention to the people who show up in my feed on
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn and provide value over time. They don't just try selling me something, but they demonstrate value. And a lot of that is through personal branding, demonstrating their expertise, showing how they can help businesses like ours, not just a
Mm-hmm.
cold outreach, a DM. Like, you don't know anything about me. You're trying to sell me something already. I don't know anything about you, right? So show me why I should even pay attention. Make me pay attention. Be a magnet, not a megaphone.
Yeah.
And the in-person piece, when you think about the local level, that's the differentiator. You're going to remember that person, that caterer who dropped by, because that person is now a human being, not just a name in your inbox.
Yeah. And I mean, he even gave me a brochure. I was like, oh, I don't ever get brochures anymore, which those can work. I'm not saying they don't, but like it's just different, right? And
Yeah.
so if that guy does that 3 times a day, his business is going to explode, right? And Gary Vee says every single person starts at 0 likes and 0 views. Every single person. But
Yeah.
all it takes is just the right person at the right time to see it. In fact, there's a stat out that I think over 90% of LinkedIn people that are on LinkedIn, I think they call them silent watchers. I forget the name. They do
Yeah.
not engage. They don't comment. They don't like, but they see. And I will check. I'll see a post that I did, video that I did. You know, 20 likes, great. And I'll go in. It's like 347 LinkedIn members have seen this, and I go, damn, I'll take that any day. That's 347 people. I have no idea who they
Right.
are,
Right.
but all you need is one to be like, ah, Trevor, that's right. That's right. Trevor does this thing. That's all you need.
I'm so glad you're mentioning this because I've had this conversation multiple times in the last week and a half with my team because of the content that we produce in house and the content that we produce with franchise filming. And we've been pushing it out on all of our corporate channels. We've been pushing it out to our
Yes.
franchisees. But I've also been asking the team to like, to comment, and not just to share, but post the content and with the video or the graphic, the caption really should be from your unique perspective in the organization and your role here and kind of demonstrate how you provide value and how you're a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, listen, just keep posting. I'm not worried about any metrics. You can only go up, and nothing
Mm-hmm.
bad is going to come of this. But don't be discouraged if you don't get 100 likes and you don't get 20 comments. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
them are going to seem like a dud. Not every post is a home run, and the ones you think are going to be great are going to underperform, and the ones you don't even put much effort into are going to go viral. You can't control it. You have to stay consistent. And consistency is what wins. If you
Yeah.
provide value to your audience consistently over time, it will pay off. And interestingly enough, I use this example with my team. I received a DM on LinkedIn from a woman who owns a recruitment firm that I worked with in a past life, and I've been with Zoom Drain for 3 years now. I have not spoken to her in 3 years. She's not
Okay.
liked
And
a
yeah.
single post of mine. She hasn't commented on anything. We've had zero interaction. She sent me a photo she took of a Zoom Drain truck in her market down in Dallas. And she said,
Hmm.
hey, I just saw this on the road and thought of you. People are watching, even if they're not liking.
Mm-hmm.
It's a they're lingering in the background, but they are paying attention, and that's all that matters. Engagement, of course, we want engagement. It makes us feel
Of
good. It's a
course.
dopamine rush, right? Um, it's flattering if somebody shares your content. That's the ultimate form of flattery. They liked it enough and saw enough value in it to share it with their audience, and we'll always take that. But my goal is to get eyeballs on the brand. And I had the talk with the team. I said, keep posting. And I used that example. I said, people will remember us when they need us. And that's the goal of branding. Similar conversation with our brand president. A few people actually have recently commented on the content that we've been pushing out, whether it's from the studio or from your team. People who don't like, who don't comment, who don't share. So it's funny. What was the phrase you used for that audience? I call them lingerers, but you had a more professional term.
There's a word, and I don't know if it's the right word, but they're the silent engagers. They see you. Like I have some people stop me at shows like, Trevor, I love your stuff. It shows up all the time, and sometimes I don't know who they are. And
Yep.
it's like, first off, I feel kind of bad, but you can't know everybody. It's impossible. So my trick that I do is I go, oh my god, it's so great to see you. Can you remind me of your last name? A little networking trick that I learned. And most people say their full name, and that's how you get their name. So that's
Nice.
the
That's a good
that's
trick.
the that's the trick. Or you do the awkward look down at their badge, which is more awkward if you don't know who if they see you doing that. But the point is that is the impact as marketers, as franchisees, as people watching. Like, when people watch your content, even for 7 seconds, sometimes my drop off on LinkedIn, people stay for 8 seconds. Can I tell you my most engaged video I've ever posted? So I referee soccer. I went and I filmed myself reffing soccer, put a mic on. It's me yelling, reffing, giving yellow cards, just being me. I put it on LinkedIn. I'm like, is this professional? Like, I'm in a yellow shirt, high shorts, like I'm just running around. And I go, no, this is me. To this day, Patrick, it is up to, I think, I don't even know how it's possible. Like 100,000 LinkedIn people have seen it,
Yep.
and most people stay for the entire time. And I go, what? But it's because it's real.
It's
It's
human.
authentic. It's different. It's human. I
Yeah.
know three film guys, but this guy Trevor is at all the shows. He brings dogs to franchise shows. He's a soccer referee. He posts good content. He posts educational content. They do webinars. It's like not one thing we do is ever going to lead to a sale. It's usually a multitude of actions,
Yeah.
right? Uh, yeah, yeah.
Well, see, I knew I was going to love this conversation. What you're talking about is humanizing your brand, and I think with people, especially on LinkedIn, they think, like, use me as an example, marketing director. So I have to be buttoned up with a suit coat on and ultra polish, and the only thing I can talk about is marketing trends in the franchise space. There's enough of that out there. We're
Mm-hmm.
not one-dimensional beings. Every person,
Mm-hmm.
that's what makes us interesting and unique, and like, that's why people pay attention to you, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned the Eagles earlier. Like, I find every couple of months, I find a way to work something related to the Eagles into my content, and you don't have to be an Eagles fan to appreciate that, but it's memorable, and now it's something people know about me personally, so now they feel like they know me at a deeper level. And if you do that, mix in a little bit about family and passions. For me, it's music, it's good bourbon, and then how do I weave that into, that's your personal brand. It's not just your occupation and the insights you can provide directly related to your occupation. It's weaving all that in to find your voice. I talk about this
Mm-hmm.
stuff all the time, but at the same time, it can be a trap. And what I've seen, and I've coached dozens, probably hundreds of professionals at this point over the years, and I'll teach them how to build swim lanes. And these are your content tracks that are going to help you establish whatever that brand is that you want to build.
Mm-hmm.
And I always call it the wild card. Like, your soccer video would be that wild card that humanizes your brand. But the other three tracks, like for you, you're probably talking about franchising, and you're talking about
Mm-hmm.
general, and then you're talking about videography, and those are that's your mix, what you do. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's Trevor, the person with the puppies and the soccer balls. But what people will do is, often they'll post that picture or that video of the soccer game, or the selfie with their
Mm-hmm.
son at a sporting event or at the playground, and people, oh, it's adorable puppies, kids are adorable, and you get 1,000 likes and 1,000 comments. It's like, wow, this stuff works. This is amazing. So what do? They get hooked on that, and they only start posting that content, which is,
Mm-hmm.
from a vanity metric standpoint, it's performing very well. It is getting you on their radar, but then you got to get back on track to posting the things that help you build the brand that you want to build, because you don't want
Yeah.
to become Trevor the puppy guy and Trevor the soccer guy. You're using that as that's one element or two elements of your brand, but you're Trevor the entrepreneur, Trevor the storyteller, Trevor the coach.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of different elements, but like, who do you really want to be? So I think, for me, I want anybody who's watching this is, as you start pushing content out, don't use that as a crutch. That personal content is an important piece of building a brand, but at the same time, like, no, that's typically going to perform better on social media. But when you think about consistency over time and what your audience is getting exposed to, when
Yeah.
they think of you, what do you want them to think of? And the majority of your content should back that up.
Yeah. And you hit on something important, which is, you know, there's a rule. It's called the 5-to-1 rule, and it's the people that always ask for the sale on social media. You rarely ever get the sale.
Yeah.
What it says is when you win, you post 5 pieces of value content. Could be video, could be blog post, could be an article. Then you have the right to then say, hey, I do video. Hey, I fix your drain. Hey, I can come out. It's not going to be your most engaged post, but if you look
Yeah.
at the back end, you're going to see those silent people, right? So, and the other thing is, I remember I was getting into franchising, Patrick, and it was 2019, and I was like, I want to be known as like the franchise videographer. Like, how do I get known for that? And I was really nervous to like get myself out there. and I came across a Gary Vee video, and the whole video was him saying, um, you know, no one's your phone's not going to suddenly ring, and
Yeah.
someone in your market's going to say, "All right, Trevor, you're now officially a thought leader. You can go ahead and start posting." Like, you become a thought leader because you post all the time. Like, your phone is not going to ring and say, "All right, Trevor, we've all collaborated and said you can now be the guy." You just got to do it, and you will naturally become the guy or gal that does that thing.
Yeah.
And what I love about marketing is in video is that.
I mean, on that note, I think if your goal is to become a thought leader, you're probably going to fail. If your goal is to provide value to your audience from it's coming from a good place. Like, I truly want to help franchise owners tell their story, and your
Mm-hmm.
content backs that up. I think that's what, the result is, you become a thought leader. But if you set out to become a thought leader, I mean, people smell that a mile away, right?
Like
And
it, yeah, correct. Mm-hmm.
something else that I always think, we want to drive engagement. I said earlier, like, yeah, they're vanity metrics, sure, but a good way to build your brand is not to just be the one doing all of the talking, but people love it when you comment on their content. That's why they do it, right? I mean, ultimately, like, that's what we want. We want to drive conversation, and it feels like a win if you do get that comment. And we know if you drive conversation on somebody else's post, now your name, your brand is getting exposed to their audience. It spikes the algorithm. So I did an activity one time with a group of franchise owners, and I said, I want you to take 5 minutes, and I want you to find a post in your feed. And don't just say good job, great thought, nice post, congratulations, but I want you to truly drive conversation in the feed. Ask a question, give them your insight, your experience, push back. Don't be
Mm-hmm.
mean, push back a little bit.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, the majority of the group came back to me and they said, I couldn't find anything worth commenting on because my whole feed was filled with promotional content, people trying to sell me something, or they
Mm.
push something out that has nothing to do with business. It was a picture of their shoes after they ran a mile, or it was a picture of their dinner plate, just irrelevant BS. And that goes back to your 5-to-1 rule that you just talked about. And the noise we mentioned, the 10,000 ads, and everybody's screaming for attention. So how do you get somebody's attention? If you provide value, you stick out. If you provide value and you're not just pushing out promotional content all the time, you're opening up a doorway for conversation. And I hope that's something that people remember when they go to build their content plan.
I think the biggest tip I have for anyone that wants to get started in making content or anything about marketing, like, sounds really cliche, but you just have to post something. Like, if you put a timer up and you think for 15 minutes about a post, and if you have nothing to post and you're thinking too much,
Yeah,
like, you have value in the back of your head that other people want to know, and it might be obvious to you, but that's called the curse of knowledge. Like, people don't know what you know. And actually, the gold in sales is giving away what you know, to then have people be like, "Oh, I don't want to do that. That sounds too hard. When I'm ready, I'm going to call Patrick, Trevor."
yeah,
Give it away. Someone's going to take your book of secrets, sure, and they're not going to do as good as you. So now you just want even more, because now they can come back to you. I tried it with a local guy or a uh, cheaper, cheaper drain company. Diane's playing loud songs,
it's
and
okay.
and they're gonna come back to you. So just
Yeah,
post. So anyone watching, I encourage you, and send it to Patrick and I. Trevor Rappleye, find me on LinkedIn. Send me the post that you post, and we will engage with it, and we will reshare it, and do that every single day, and your business will grow. There's
that's
no
right.
way that it won't.
Yeah, I think people, when they think about content, they're like, "Oh, I got to give up my day job and become a content creator." It's like, no, just use the life around you as inspiration. Your
Yeah.
real life experiences. Just look at it and think, okay, what interaction did I have today or what experience did I have today that would benefit my network? And it doesn't
Yep.
have to be something that's earth shattering. It's something, it's like you said, it's the curse of knowledge. I like that phrase. As they say, we become blind to the value we can provide when it's related to topics that we deal with every day. If
Yeah.
you're a drain technician or you own a Zoom Drain franchise, you're talking about these solutions all of the time. It's just another day for you. But somebody else out there, they've never cleared a drain in their life. They may have never had a clog. So something that's simple for you can bring immense value to them. And that's a very literal example, but it could be about leadership or coaching, overcoming any kind of challenge. Like share that aha moment you had, whether you were the one dropping the mic or you were on the other end of it. You were on the receiving end of it. So use that. Don't let your experiences live in a vacuum. Use social media and LinkedIn as really I always say the vending machine to help tell your story and build your brand while you're doing other things. Trevor, if you have a couple minutes, I have a couple more questions for you. Are you good?
Yeah.
2019, 2020, you entered the franchising world. What do you love about franchising?
I love the friendship that you have in the franchise space. It's such a small space, and you become friends with such amazing people.
Franchise is a dirty word to some people. If you're not in the industry, you may look at that phrase negatively in the whole model if you don't truly understand it. But you have talked to many franchisors and many founders and even franchisees over the years. You've heard a lot of their stories. You've helped them share their stories. What's the magic of franchising and what can it do for an aspiring entrepreneur?
As entrepreneurs, you only have two options if you want to get into business ownership. You can build something from scratch, which I did, which was super fun, super hard. Oh my god, I learned so much. Wow. Or you can invest in a franchise system that gives you a book of success. It doesn't guarantee success, but what it does is it says, here's our proven process. And if you do these things, oh my God, you're going to be off to the races. There's only two options there. And choose which one that you want.
Last question.
Yeah.
What mistakes do you see most businesses make today when it comes to their content strategy?
The mistake I see brands making and everyone is they overthink what they're trying to say. You try to script everything and plan out every perfect B-roll shot and things that are really important. Do that, but it can't be all that you do. Don't overthink this. Sometimes the best thing you could do is sit in front of a camera and have someone ask you questions about what you do. There's so much value in that. So just get posting.
Get started. Keep it simple. Trevor, this conversation was a long time in the making. I'm so glad we were finally able to sit down and talk all things content and storytelling and video and franchising, brand building, all the things that I'm so passionate about, and I know you are too. I appreciate your story. I appreciate your insights and your time. It's been a pleasure working with you and your team. Looking forward to working with you more closely in the future. And we're gonna have to do a part two because this was awesome, and we could probably keep talking for hours. But we're gonna wrap it up for today. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrick.